What's up everybody, KingGBL here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a team that I went up from 2487 to over 2600 ELO with. I went roughly about 120 ELO up with this team, so if you're looking for something strong for Colour Cup, I do recommend trying this out. Poliwrath double electric, we have Morpeko in the safe swap. Morpeko is and has been one of the best safe swaps in this cup. I'm actually running it with Seed Bomb. Now what you're going to start seeing in this video is that people are respecting it like crazy. People are just ready for Seed Bomb. You'll see at some points in this video, Morpeko is able to take switch advantage against things like Quagsire. You can beat them in the 2 shield if you get an energy lead with Morpeko, which is pretty insane. And Chargebug in the back, I think it just cleaned up a lot of teams. You're seeing it here in this matchup against Dugong, which is fairly uncommon. Really good into, of course, the water types in the meta. Feraligatr started picking up a little bit more over the last day or two. I haven't seen too many Dugongs. I've seen a lot of Toxapexes. It's not very good into Talonflame, but you can at the very least threaten a pretty decent amount of damage with Discharge. You do outpace to the first one. Even in matchups where it's less ideal, it can do very, very well. I would have to say though, my go-to for this team is 100% Poliwrath. Poliwrath has been amazing for me in this cup. It just core breaks so many teams. A lot of teams aren't ready for fighting. I see an absolute ton of teams in this cup that are just ABA weak to Poly. It's crazy, man. Like, you'll see like a Abomasnow lead with Morpeko in the back, or Credilli lead with Furthorn in the back. Two things that are weak to counter, or even things that are a little bit less good into Poly, such as the fire types, right? Typhlosion can do very fine into Poly, but generally speaking, you can just farm it all the way down. Poly has been the absolute goat. I highly recommend building a team around Poly, and I'm going to be showcasing a video tomorrow where I actually hit expert with a different Poliwrath team. So stay tuned guys, drop a like on the video, check out the battles to get of course an idea for the team. Don't just watch the first 10 seconds of the video, not watch any of the battles and then say, oh, this team sucks. You have to learn the team. I've been using this team for a couple of days, I know the matchups, and I'll hopefully be able to share that with you. Anyway, let's hop into it guys. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hopping into this battle here, we've got Scald Poly versus Pup Poly. Generally speaking, I do like to go Scald here. If they're an Icy Wind, I just go Icy Wind. If they're in Pup, I normally full send the Scald. Because as you can see, they go for the Icy Wind in the end. We end up surviving it, and we do take switch advantage here. So Poly versus Poly, to win the match, you're supposed to go for Scald. Now the opponent comes into Morpeko. Chargebug's a very good answer to Morpeko as well. Chargebug does tend to do quite well into all our electrics. One electric that Chargebug really struggles with is Stunfisk, which I have started seeing a little bit more of over the last day or two. So with this matchup here, we take the first move, we go straight X-Scissor, of course, it's super effective, it'll look to one-shot the Morpeko. And this is kind of an awkward spot. I'm going to shield this move right here. I'm kind of hoping they're not on Psychic Fangs. The opponent isn't Psychic Fangs, unfortunately. I think Seed Bomb's too valuable for this cup to use Psychic Fangs personally, but it is very nice sometimes. Getting off that cheaper move can be really good. So right here, I think the opponent's pretty close to dry. I'm going to come in with my own Morpeko. I'll try to overfarm in this matchup and come out with a bunch of energy for whatever's in the back. If I'm able to successfully overfarm, I can basically look to one-shot any of my counters, right? I've got Seed Bomb for the Mud Boys. I've got, oh, here comes Kingdra. Do we win this battle? Basically what I need to do is get this off, overfarm a little bit. Kingdras get to the moves in 17 turns, so we have a little bit of time to overfarm here. The opponent says, nah, I'm good, and concedes the match. So basically what I needed to do there was make sure I outpace the opponent's Morpeko. Now we get a Gastrodon in the lead, and the opponent comes into a Typhlosion. I want you to pay attention to this matchup because this is quite important, I think. If they come into Typhlosion, I do recommend staying in with Poly for a while. At the very least, get an Icy Wind off, try to threaten the Skull, get off an Icy Wind. And what I like to do is catch the second move on one of the electrics. They go for Thunder Punch here. I think ideally you should be catching this in Chargebug, even though you take super effective. I end up going for 4 and Fro. So the reason that it's good to catch in Chargebug here is because you sneak a Volt Switch on the catch. You do 2 more Volt Switches. But in this case, I decided to come into the Morpeko because I'm trying to bait back out the Gastrodon so I can Seed Bomb them into the ground. The opponent comes into Talonflame. This is still awkward. They're up an Incinerate. I came in with Poly here. I don't go for CMP tie, which of course I lose, and I'm not trying to give away free Incinerate. They go Flame Charge. I'm going to go to an Icy Wind here. If the opponent does not shield this, we might be in a little bit of a tricky spot. Now at this point, there's no reason for the opponent not to fly. I go for the catch, get the Volt Switch Sneak, which is beautiful. Whenever you do 2 and swap, he goes for Flame Charge. Why are you Flame Charging, bro? Why are you Flame Charging? Grow up. Grow up. Anyway, Discharge coming in, and that's going to be good games well played. Hopping into the next battle, we have Poly versus Furthorn. Very good matchup for Poly. You can pretty much counter all the way down. Now, if they ever do this and come into Kingdra, you just stay in fully in this matchup. You don't swap out. I mean, it is possible to swap out, but I prefer to stay in with Poly. Just shield once, farm it all the way down after landing the Icy. If they're a Shadow, they do tend to shield it. They do tend to go for that Octazooka quite a lot. but they don't usually make two moves if you land the Icy. They can come back into Pharaoh, and I can basically just stand against the Pharaoh as well. We go for 1 and Icy Wind here. It is tempting to catch at this point, because if you think about it, the opponent's shown that they're super weak to the poly. So in this case, I decide to go for the catch. We do catch a Power Whip here, which is beautiful. The opponent's debuffed as well, so this is horrible for them. They come into Toxapex. This is a bit of a crazy move by the opponent bringing in Toxapex, but I sort of do understand why. They're debuffed with Ferrothorn, and it's a horrible matchup for the Ferrothorn as well. You probably would prefer to have Ferrothorn and Poly at this point than a debuff Ferrothorn against Charjabug. I correctly shield up the Sludge Wave, and I think we're in a very fine position now. We're in a position now where we can land a Discharge. 1 Discharge will not knock out the Toxapex. I think I should be going, yep, I do go for X-Scissor here. They might shield this move, we'll see what the opponent decides to do. I decide to bring in Morpeko. I'm expecting this to be a Brine at this point. It is actually a Sludge Wave, and the opponent comes back into Ferrothorn. You're about to see with Morpeko though. Typings do not matter to this stupid thing. Bang, that does a lot of damage even though it's resisted. This is starting to get a little bit hairy, however the opponent's forced to go for the Overfarm. We go for another Aura Wheel. This will of course knock them out. We're just ramping ourselves up. The Toxapex will come back in, and it's going to be a Simul KO. Actually, it's not even a Simul KO, we just farm it all the way down. Good games well played. If you can get your Morpeko ramped up, it's just GG's. Now this is very awkward right here, because they're ABA weak to counter. You're like, oh, this is so great, but we need to keep the poly alive, so we do need to make this catch right here. If the opponent's ahead in energy, they do tend to beat the Charjabug. It's a very move timing, very close matchup. It's very dependent. If you're doing move timing versus the Cordilli, to and fro is the most optimal timing. You can always survive a move. In this case, what I decide to do is shield, because they're going to come in with Golem, but I can still get off 2 moves on the Golem. Even though this is super effective damage, these X-Scissors are going to be ripping this thing to shreds, so we do get a shield back off the opponent anyway. Once I get this through, it's very tempting. Normally, I like to snipe here in these cases, because if you allow the opponent to get a bunch of energy, you're just in trouble. They're going to double wild charge the poly, and it's going to be pretty rough for you. They end up going for Rock Block. Dude, just stop it, bro. Just stop it. I think it's going to be Jump Bluff in the back. That team tends to come off Jump Bluff. Of course, we're going to Icy Wind it into Oblivion, and our Morpeko and Bug's going to take it out. But generally speaking, if you let Golem ramp up on you, it's going to be pretty awkward. This is a very awkward matchup here as well. Gastrodon double fire, this tends to be. In this case, I go for Scald. It's a 50-50 if they shield it or not. They shield it this time. Oftentimes, they don't shield it. I know it's going to be like Talonflame Typhlosion in the back, so I can't really afford to give up both shields here at this point, unfortunately. I'm going to go straight for another move here. In this matchup, I'm full sending. You know, here's not a bad idea for you. It's honestly not a terrible idea just to go for Icy Wind right away, as soon as you get it on slightly less optimal timing. I've actually found that to work out very well. In this case, it's Quillfish in the back, but it does tend to be Talonflame and Typhlosion. So keeping the poly alive, getting the debuff on the Gastrodon, it tends to be very good in that matchup. Anyway, I'm thinking this is going to be Toxapex in the back. It's Quillfish, of course, here. We're going to go for the big Aura Wheel. This will knock them out. And I'm expecting Charjabug to clean up here at this point. We get a few Thundershocks for you here. Like I said before, Toxapex will easily take a Discharge, so even getting a few extra Sparks in there or a few extra Thundershocks in there will help out the matchup a little bit. We're going to make it to 2 moves no matter what. In the 0 shield, this is very good for Charjabug. In the 1 shield, it gets pretty decent for Toxapex, so Toxapex is just a busted Pokemon, but in this case, we're going to take it out. We got all shields down, double Discharge is going to take it out, and in the next one, we've got a Quagsire lead. Now, if the opponent swaps out, this is where I love Morpeko. If the opponent swaps it into a matchup, for example, where Morpeko beats it, what I like to do is come into the Morpeko, right, try to overfarm as much as possible, and then on the return matchup, go for a Seed Bomb. That's been the really good thing about Morpeko. I'm not really catching it, yeah, so like take this matchup for example, I end up going into Charjabug here. This was a miss swap, I shouldn't have come into Charjabug, I should have come into the Morpeko. Morpeko resists all of the moves here, whereas we only resist the Discharge with Charjabug, so this was a slight mistake. I should have been coming into the Morpeko in this matchup. However, we do get the farm down, and what I decide to do here is just set up a farm down for the Morpeko. That means if Quag comes back in, we get off a Seed Bomb, and we'll be in a pretty decent position. Actually, I decide not to take the extra damage. They come into Charizard here. So of course, after playing the team for a while, I start to learn where to put things and where not to put things. This is a case where definitely you want to be putting your Morpeko in the Emolga. The opponent's still got a shield. If they start shielding, it could get awkward. Quagsire is really low, so like we're still sort of okay here. I just need to make it 2 moves. I think the opponent ends up basically giving this match up. They just quit the match more or less. They come into the Quagsire. I shield this move. Hopefully they don't make a second move. I don't think they do. We can just basically farm it down. I think had the opponent shielded Charizard, they would have been in a much better position there. Almost no lead. Fantastic lead here. We've got 2 answers to it. The opponent stays in to do 1, and then they come into the Gastrodon. They go for Body Slam right away. You see, this Body Slam is annoying because I know they're weak to Poly, right? So like even them getting a little chip on the Poly, super annoying. I'm expecting the opponent to anticipate an Icy Wind. Again, it's really 50-50 if they shield these or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I have started to find that they don't shield it as often anymore. In the end here, I decide to settle for a 1-to-1 shield. I'm going to go for Scald. If the opponent shields, so be it at this point. They do shield. I'm going to just try to get Charge Bug to take care of this. We do get a debuff as well. I might respect one of these moves here, I might not. I think I let the Water Pulse go here. That's perfectly fine. I was tempted to go for an Overfarm at this point, but I do end up just going for the move. Maintaining some health on the Charge Bug. I needed to take care of the Abomasnow. In comes the Abomasnow, so they must be quite weak to Charge Bug. This doesn't quite one-shot them, but it gets them extremely low. I'm thinking we land this move, and maybe we have to swap into Morpeko or stay in and force the energy. We actually simul-swap here at this point. They come into Lantern, I come into Morpeko. You might be thinking go for Seed Bomb, but there's no point in this matchup. You might as well just, you need 2 moves no matter what. You might as well just go for double Aura Wheel, because we can ramp up our attack as well. That'll help us farm down the Abomasnow. If the Abomasnow somehow did make a move, we'd be basically fine anyway, because Charge Bug's healthy enough to farm it down. So GG's well played there. Once again, we're just seeing so much disrespect for Poliwrath in this cup. They've got a Mudboy and an Abomasnow. Poliwrath is very well into this whole team, and once again we have disrespect for Poliwrath in the lead. The opponent comes into Among Us. So what I've learned about this matchup is, if you're on Psychic Fangs, if you decide that you don't want to use Seed Bomb, this is a good matchup for Morpeko. Otherwise, this is really, really awkward. And this is kind of why I switched to a different team eventually. I kept seeing this team for a day or two, and this team was so hard for me to beat. We'll see how this plays out. The Among Us definitely beats Charge Bug. I end up just giving up a shield, and looking to get off double X-Scissor in the end. So we'll see how this plays out. One X-Scissor I don't think quite knocks out from here, but it might put them very, very low. So maybe the opponent's going to double shield on the swap here, get a massive farm down. And this is just so awkward, bro. The opponent resists my counters, they resist the Thunder Shocks. Among Us is just kind of an awkward Corebreaker for this team, of all things. We shield the Grass Knot. I'm going to try to overfarm here. We'll get off an Icy Wind to knock this out. And we need Morpeko basically up a shield to sweep the whole team, pretty much. The opponent comes in to jump off. I'm going to go for the Icy Wind right away. The opponent anticipates that, goes for catching Golem, but I think we might be able to farm this the whole way down now at this point. Either way, I think we're going to land the Icy Wind. Beautiful, we get a beautiful farm down. I try to go for the catch there, unfortunately don't quite make it. We get off an Aura Wheel, and the opponent cannot one-shot me with any move. I can 2-shot them with my moves, so the opponent's going to be forced to further energy super quickly here. The opponent really does not have a lot of room to overfarm. Energy Ball does not knock me out. The opponent has to go for their ace right away. I think I'm 2 or 3 counters off an Icy Wind. The opponent's basically dry at this point. 1, 2, 3. I think that was a CMP tie as well. Super close matchup. So my advice is, if you're running Psychic Fangs, go to Morpeko against Among Us. If you're running the electric move, they just no shields and start getting off a bunch of moves. It's very awkward. Speaking of which, the opponent has got a Stormy lead next match. We come into Morpeko. The opponent meets it with a Kingdra. Kingdra will be able to farm this down, but I think I should be able to get off 2 moves here as well. I think I'll even be able to get off the second move before they get off their first Octazooka, which is perfect. I believe Morpeko does win CMP here, so you just go for this move right away. We're getting 2 shield lead off the opponent. This is great. We're doing a lot of damage to Goodra. It's kind of awkward to bring, you know, either of these 2 Pokemon back in, but I don't mind bringing Poly back in. The thing about Stormy is, yes, it's got Psywave. It's only got Surf and Power Gem though. It might have Thunderbolt. I'm just going to shield this move. The opponent's going to get off 2 no matter what. I'll take the second move. I don't think it's going to be Outrage at this point. They're going for the debuffs. I go for the Snipe of Charge Bug, and hopefully we can sweep with the Charge Bug. Okay, they come into Talonflame. In this particular situation, this is really, really fine for Charge Bug. The opponent went for the 2 shield, Kingdra, Octazooka Cringe on the safe swap, and it's coming back to bite them in the ass now. We land a Discharge, that doesn't quite knock them out. I'm going to make it to an X-Scissor. Both X-Scissor and Discharge will be super effective here. X-Scissor does the same damage as Discharge, except it costs less energy, so always go for X-Scissor when possible. Anyway guys, we're doing very, very well with this team, and as you can see, it's not like we're getting amazing leads every time, so we're going to come into the Morpeko this time. The opponent goes for the catch, they bring in Charge Bug. Charge Bug definitely beats Morpeko, but I don't know about giving me all of this energy, bro. I think if you give Morpeko a huge energy lead against basically anything, it can cause you problems. So we go for Aura Wheel, the opponent will shield it. I think the opponent actually went for the sneak there. I tried to go for a risky CMP tie. Unfortunately, did not pay off for me. So that basically put me in a position where I couldn't shield the opponent's move because they would outpace me. Had I played on good timing, I think I could have stayed in here and done a little bit better. So we come into our own Charge Bug. I'll shield one of these moves, probably take one. Oh, I decided not to take one. Quite an interesting play here. I want to keep health on the Charge Bug. They come into Morpeko. Of course, this is our best answer to the Mulga. I decide to take the first move, of course. Psychic Fangs makes perfect sense. A little bit annoying here. Can I outpace the opponent to 2 moves? I don't really want to shield, if possible. The opponent done some moves. Oh, they actually just let it go. That's crazy. I decide to swap out because I'm debuffed. They have to go for acrobatics to knock me out here. The opponent full sends acrobatics, that's probably the correct play. But because they give up all that energy, we're in a very good position now. I decide to call it, they go for discharge, they go for the discharge, that's my win condition here, and that's going to be good games well played. As soon as I called that bait, the opponent concedes the match, and that's what you have to do sometimes, you know, it's not like, oh, those teams look good, blah blah blah. No, sometimes you have to grow some testicles and make some calls, folks. That's how it is sometimes. There's no perfect team, there's no perfect this or that. A lot of it comes down to what you do. In my battles, I make tons of mistakes, but I also try to make good plays as well. And in those cases, you have to try to think, what is the opponent's win condition? If I was in the opponent's position, what would I try to do to win the match? Obviously, at that time, I thought the opponent has to try to bait me to try and make up the energy. It also helps to be perfectly on track with energy. I wasn't 100% on track, to be honest with you, in that matchup, but I sort of knew that they might get very close to getting the acrobatics and the discharge off, so that's why I decided to call it. Anyway, a Bomb of Snow here. They've got a Cordilli in the back. They're just in shambles here, folks. Like, this Poliwrath's got them in shambles. We're going to take the Willer Ball. Farm the Bomb of Snow all the way down. 2 shield polys, just GG basically. Like, we've got the ice moves for any grasses that come in. They come in and go for a desperate snipe with Cordilli here. They go for the rock slide, they go for the second move. I'm just shielding this at this point. If I can debuff the final Pokemon, I'm pretty happy with it. They come into KingGBL here, and let me see, if I get on 2 counters there, so they've done 4. We actually just come into Morpeko right away because we can outpace it at this point. And with the Cordilli, they threw 2 rock slides, they're going to be fairly dry. And with me being boosted and of course having the dark move, the opponent quits the match, and that's going to be good games. In the next one, this is a really annoying lead. Marowak is probably the biggest Corebreaker, or one of the biggest Corebreakers for this team. You sort of have to stay in and play it out. It's a real 50-50, man. The opponent doesn't throw right away, so we go for the Icy Wind, I think, on 10 here. Or at least I should have went for it on 10. Again, I'm watching through like a little window, which is like laggy, so it's kind of hard. They throw a Shadow Ball! That's insane. You definitely want Shadow Bone for this Pokemon. Shadow Ball's insane. I end up bringing the Skull the second time, and we get away with it here. I aggro swap here into Morpeko. This was not a good play, I don't think. I do think the opponent might have something else weak to the Poly in the back. So, like, this is not great. If anything, I maybe should have brought in Charjabug, but Charjabug is my hard answer. I shield up the Frenzy, they come into Cordilli, so it is double grass here at the back. We are heavily boosted now, so the opponent will have to respect this move, and they'll have to throw pretty quickly. Morpeko is just so spammy. They end up throwing the move. Seed Bomb or the thing would have done a lot. We're actually, oh, we don't get it off, that's unfortunate. We come into Poly here, and we make a catch. Okay, if this is grass knot, that was a really good catch, because I think I got the sneak as well. We did get the sneak, we can to and fro here. I think they just about hang on here, but I should be able to farm this the whole way down. Yeah, they do hang on, unfortunately. We can farm this down, get off a move on the Serp. The Serp is getting relatively low. Yeah, they're down to roughly 45% health. Again, this won't quite knock them out. Do I actually? Oh, it does knock them out. Okay, we win this match, easy. Honestly, I thought they would have survived. Another Golem lead, in comes Dekadui. I stay in here to throw a move. Again, like, this team is really awkward, and this is why I swapped teams eventually. You're going to see me hitting Expert tomorrow. This is why I swapped teams. I kept seeing this, and it was just so frustrating to deal with. What I'd done that time was go for the... Do I no shield a Frenzy Plant here as well, bro? This is so bad for me, man. This is so bad. This Dekadui is just putting in so much work into my team. They can let that... Oh, they actually shield that move. That was the electric move. They probably could have let that move go. I think my only option is to come into Charjabug here. Again, like, this is just... Oh, this Decidueye just destroying my team. This is no good, bro. This is no good. I get off an X-Scissor. I do think they survive it. Let's have a look. No, they die. Okay, cool. We come into this against the Golem. The opponent stays in. The opponent's staying in. Okay. They're giving me a huge opportunity here. Normally this team comes with Jumbluff on the back. It is Jumbluff on the back. We get off an Icy Wind immediately. Can I outpace the 2 Icy Winds here? I think the opponent must be in Acrobatics because they don't throw the move right away. Dude, I've seen people on Acrobatics and Ace. That move is complete cope. Acrobatics in itself is a little bit cope-ish. We got super lucky in this matchup. Good games to the opponent there. Poliwrath versus KingGBL. Love seeing this lead with Poliwrath. Poliwrath destroys it, man. We outpaced to the Icy Wind at 16 turns versus 17 for the Octazooka. They never really throw Octazooka straight away. Normally after this, they're like 2 counters away from the Outrage. I always tend to respect it, because even if they get off 2 Octazookas, that's going to knock you out anyway. Now, here, I think I was not counting correctly. I think you can farm it all the way down, so that's a waste of energy. They come into Toxapex, I've got 2 answers, I come into Morpeko, and they bring in the Poliwrath. Can we actually make it to 2 moves here? The opponent shields the first move. Can they farm me down in time? They actually end up throwing the move. I don't think I was making that move, so that's a big misplay by the opponent. I can bring in Charge Bug here. Because the opponent threw their energy, I can go for Discharge immediately. Look to get rid of the Poliwrath. If they do survive, I can swap and catch it on my own. They don't survive. In comes Toxapex. I'm with 1 to 0 shields. Charge Bug just completely destroys this. Now, of course, this will probably be a Brine. Yeah, it is a Brine, of course. We just built up to back-to-back moves here, and that's going to be GG's. Yeah, this team was super fun. You know, whenever I stopped enjoying this team, is whenever I just kept seeing that one particular team that theoretically is a good lead for me, Golem lead, but then they come into a Grass Safe swap, and it's a very, very awkward Grass Safe swap. It's an Astonisher. That's kind of why Astonish and Mudslap are busted, right? Because, like, I should be beating these things, but I'm not because they're just so awkward for me. I really like this lead. Dragon Breath Charizard, I messed around with it a few times during the first couple of days of the cup. I think it's a very cool idea. I get a shield off the opponent, come into this, and then we draw out the Quagsire. Will the opponent respect the damage? Ladies and gents, yeah, of course they do. But here's the thing. We're ahead in energy. I can just force alignment here at this point. This is great. We'll go for Seed Bomb. This will look to knock out the Quagsire, and we'll be threatening heavy damage if Charizard comes back, or if it's another Mudboy, we can look to one-shot it. Look how much damage we're doing. The opponent's pretty much forced to throw to keep some health on this thing. I'm going to bring in Charge Bug and look to basically commit to the farm down. The opponent comes into Toxapex. This opponent is so weak to Electric, it's insane. Good games well played, and guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, it is absolutely free. We're up to 2604, definitely making a good push, and like I said, I had Expert yesterday, which I'll be uploading quite soon here. Big thank you for all the support in the videos, man. Big thank you for watching all the streams and everything. You guys are awesome, I really do appreciate it. Big shoutouts and big thank you to everybody who tunes into the videos. Take it easy, and I'll catch you all next time.